Four things I like about the Nike React Metcon Turbo is number one, the reworked outer. So this shoe compared to the Metcon 6, Metcon 5 is like fully reworked on the outer. There's a mesh outer up here. We have some breathability over here through the mesh. And the outer just feels very lightweight and accommodating. Honestly, I think it was a move in the right direction when it comes to the overall performance with the construction of this model. The second thing I like about this shoe is how it feels and fits. If I had to compare it to a previous Metcon model, I would actually say it ties in really closely to the Metcon 4, which was by far, hands down, my favorite Metcon model to date. I love you. It feels very similar in respect to that it has that more athletic feeling to it. It feels very lightweight on the foot. It almost feels like you're wearing a sock when you're doing different workouts, which is a good or bad thing depending on how you like the shoes to fit. I personally love that. The third thing I like about this model is the reworked outsole. So as you can see here, we have a reworked forefoot, heel, and midfoot. It kind of disassociates the forefoot to the heel with this model, and it makes the break-in process really easy, but it also gives it a nice responsive feeling. So if you are somebody who's tackling agility focused work, plyometrics, or even just lifting and trying to get on your toes, hitting triple extension, this model feels really good and it grips the floor really well. So I'm a fan of the reworked outer. Haven't noticed any issues yet when it comes to gripping different surfaces. So overall, big fan of that. The fourth thing I like about this model, and I kind of touched on this in the first section, is how breathable and lightweight the shoe is. So you can wear it for longer periods of time and it's very responsive, very lightweight. So no matter what task you're doing, this shoe should be pretty great at tackling it. All right, so two cons with this model is number one, the price. $150 for a training shoe. It hurts the soul. Honestly, like $130 in my opinion is kind of high. $150, I'm like, are you serious? So con obviously is the price. This is definitely not gonna be your most budget-friendly cross-training shoe on the market. Now, do I think it's worth it? Yeah, for how it fits and how it's been performing, I do think it's pretty worth it, but again, the $150 is freaking steep. The second con I could see folks having with this model is that if you weren't actually a fan of the Metcon 4 and how it fit with that more like athletic style feeling, then I could see this being a problem for you. It may feel tighter up in the toe box, but overall, I think that's gonna be a smaller population that's actually affected by this con. So those are the two cons with this model, price and how the shoe feels and fits. I would just say before you buy it, if you can, try it on, because this is a pricier model. So you don't wanna buy something that obviously fits very poorly or you just freaking hate from the start. Hey guys, quick note. If you like training shoe reviews and other gear reviews, plus training content, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps the channel grow and it helps a lot. But now back to the review. All right, so when it comes to performance, I am gonna break this section down into three different parts. We're gonna talk about lifting, more of your like plyometric / agility workouts, and then more of like our longer run or day-to-day wear. So on a lifting point of view, this shoe I thought was just like every other Metcon model in terms of stability. So it does have this Nike React insole in it. So it does have a slightly thicker insole, but truthfully, like I don't think it's gonna impact stability that much for a lot of us, unless you're squatting in the upper limits of like 600, 700 pounds. I don't think this is necessarily gonna be a concern for you when it comes to stability. So overall, I thought this shoe was perfectly fine in a variety of lifts and it provided plenty of stability. It's easy to splay your toes up here as long as you get the right size. It feels very stable on the ground. There's never any points when it feels like very uneven or very unstable. So from a lifting point of view, I was a fan of this model. It feels just like every other Metcon in respect to how stable it is under various loads. Now from a plyometric and agility focused standpoint, I am a huge fan of this model. And again, circling back to the points about like the Metcon 4, I love shoes that fit more athletically. These almost feel like my old track shoes in some respects. So they're very lightweight. The disassociation here at the midfoot from the forefoot and the heel give it a lot of responsiveness. And the Nike React insole was a good balance when it comes to giving this shoe a nice little bit of responsiveness while also providing it with some stability. So with plyos and with agility focused workouts, the shoe feels really good. So if you are a sport athlete and you're looking for a stable training shoe that you can also wear for plyo and agility workouts, I think you're gonna like this model a lot. Now on a day-to-day and a longer run basis, the shoe is okay. I could rock it on a longer basis. It's not the most comfortable model out there because once again, we don't have as much cushion in the midsole and insole compared to other shoes. that are a bit more accommodating for longer wear, but overall, it's decent on a day-to-day. Now, I wouldn't wear this for longer runs. If you're gonna do shorter runs, like 1, 2, maybe 3 miles that are included in WODs, or just for warm-ups, or just some after workout conditioning, this shoe should be fine, but I definitely would not take this for longer runs. It's not gonna be the most accommodating, and it's not gonna be that comfortable. So overall, from a lifting point of view, I thought this shoe was perfectly fine. It does have a slightly more cushioning insole, but I think for most lifters, it's gonna feel plenty stable, and it delivers a lot of the same characteristics that we're used to in other Metcon models that are designed to promote stability. From a plyometric and agility focused standpoint, I thought this shoe was one of the better Metcon models I have tried. The disassociation between the forefoot and the heel with this reworked outer, and just the overall lightweight construction and responsiveness of the shoe makes it honestly a fan favorite in my eyes for agility and plyometric training. Now, on a day-to-day basis, it's a Metcon model that is designed to promote stability, so it's not going to be the most comfortable shoe to wear for longer durations. And on a longer run basis, I would pass on this model, but for shorter runs, it will work. Personally, I kind of hate that it's $150 because I do like this shoe. It just hurts that I had to pay so much for it, but I cannot fault its performance. So when it comes to size and fit for this model, I'd say pay attention to what size you go with, and here's why. So I wear a size 10 in all of my training shoe reviews, and overall, these fit pretty true to size, but they do feel a little snug up here on the toes. Now, I'm not dying, they're not super uncomfortable, but if you are somebody who normally doesn't have a lot of room in their toe box, or who just likes having a little bit more room in the toe box for that matter, then I would suggest going up a half size. And also, if you look at other reviews online, other people are reporting that it is sizing a little bit smaller than what they perceived. So if you've ever worn like a Metcon 4 or a Metcon 5, I would say go with the same size you wore for those. But if you are somebody who likes having a little bit more room in the toe box, you might want to go up a half size. All right, so price, once again, $150 USD. Now the main question is that worth it? I think if you are somebody who wants a stable Metcon model, $150 doesn't really bother you that much, and you like to train with a variety of exercises, then this is gonna be a good pick for you. Now, if you are strapped on a budget, you can look at older Metcon models, and I think you should be just fine paying a little bit less for an older shoe and getting a lot of the same benefits that you're gonna get with this model. So overall, $150 USD for this shoe. It is definitely much more expensive than other budget-friendly cross trainers out there, but if you confront it, then I think the shoe could be worth it. All right, so now let's talk construction of the Nike React Metcon Turbo. We'll make our way up here from the toe down to the heel. So up here on the toe, we have an extended outsole layer that comes up. Super great for durability, big fan of that. Plus we have this beefed up synthetic material here, so not really noticing any kind of friction or abrasion when it comes to like burpees or anything with toe dragging movements. So as you can see here, the outer splits. So on the lateral side of both models, we have this like more breathable mesh. You can almost like see my fingers through it. And then we have more knit material here on the medial side. So it's super interesting that they went with like this asymmetrical design throughout the whole shoe. Thought it was really interesting for performance too, because it does bleed into the lacing system, which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 laces going up. And as you can see, the lacing system changes slightly. So on that medial side, we have double layers here, and then we have more of like a loop fixture here on the lateral side. Really interesting for performance, gives that shoe a nice, once again, athletic feel. Feels very tight to the forefoot, and it feels very stable. We have some branding here on the lateral side. We have that nice Nike swoosh. On the medial side here, nothing really crazy with branding. We have Nike React going down. This is like a more synthetic slash rubbery material. And then making our way to the heel. So they took out the heel clip from wrapping the whole way around. We just have it back here towards the heel and then a little bit on the lateral side. Super cool for trying to limit some of that material that's kind of adding weight to the shoe. When it comes to the boot feels very similar to other Nike Metcon models. I didn't notice any heel slip. Because the shoe fits a bit more form-fitting and a bit more athletically, it stays put and it feels more like a sock. Didn't notice any heel slip. Now that might not be the case for everybody, but personally, I did not have any issues with it. The boot does do a pretty good job at kind of closing in that heel, so compared to other models that have had heel slip issues in the past, this model, I haven't noticed any issues with it. The tongue itself is a lighter material. Now I will say, we do know with Nike cross-training models that when we have lighter tongues, we have to be careful with how we're pulling them up. So we have this material, we have this construction here that has like a double edge over here. So pull it up equally on each side. Try not to pull on one side. You don't want to see your tongue rip, especially on a pair of shoes that's $150 USD. Making our way to the outsole, and I mentioned this before, but we have this like split material. So the forefoot up here, you can see, is literally split from the heel. And personally, I'm a fan of that. It gives the shoe a very interesting feeling. It makes it very responsive, breaks in fast, and adds a lot of maneuverability to the shoe. Now this midfoot material here, it's kind of that rope tech material. It's designed to help and promote when you're climbing ropes and you're wrapping that rope around. Does a pretty good job at that. Also does a good job for increasing durability of the midfoot from resisting abrasions. But overall, those are the main construction callouts with the shoe. There are a lot of changes going on here. So if you have any questions on changes that you noticed that maybe I didn't cover, drop them in the comments below and I will gladly clear anything up for you. And that wraps up my review of the Nike React Metcon Turbo. Overall, I am a fan of this shoe. It performed well across the board, and I dig the new construction changes. The only real drawback in my eyes is the price, but I think if you could stomach the $150, then this shoe is likely worth it for you. If you have any questions on this model, drop them down below, because once again, it is a bit more pricey, so ask whatever you want so I can help direct you accordingly so you don't just waste money for no reason. And also guys, drop a like to the video, drop a subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.